Okay, getting the first pick. Oh, get three, Pyro, get three with the
Wade Kid putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
Good evening, Overwatch fans. Welcome to the end of Week 3, Stage 2 of Discord Tier of the Overwatch Tranquility Tournament. Tonight, we have the very last regular season Discord Tier game between Tailwind and Exodus out of Indigo Pool A. Both Tailwind and Exodus showed huge success during Stage 1, with Tailwind finishing with a perfect 5-0 record, and Exodus finishing with a 4-1 record. In this match, we will see the deciding game for the top seeds of Indigo's side of the playoffs. I'm Chimanzi on the play-by-play tonight, joined by Needle Analysis. What are you looking forward to tonight, Needle?
Well, I'm looking forward to see a lot of players that I already know. We've casted a lot of games, Chim, where there's new teams and new players who we get to see, and it's always nice to see new players. Like Abstract on Lightspeed was a really fun player to watch last week. But I already know almost every single one of these players. You know, Tailwind, they're a returning team from last season, obviously a very different roster. But Exodus, an almost identical roster, I believe 4 out of 6 players are the same as last season, where they won when they were known as Airstrike. So I think it's going to be a really good match. Both of these teams were really good last season, and they're good again this season.
Yeah, this is a super exciting match. As you mentioned, a bunch of Tranquility veterans from both sides. Obviously, like you said, we've got 4 out of 6 from Exodus who are from Airstrike, and then the 5th player, Poochie, who was on Southlaws last season, is also a Tranquility veteran. I believe the only new player to Tranquility would be Chad. And on Tailwind, you have a pretty similar story. I believe every single one has played in Trank before, except for Kiditrix. So it's going to be exciting to see that. And some bigger picture things about this game, about how important it is that if Tailwind picks up one map, just any map, they clinch the first seed for the Indigo side of playoffs. If Exodus wins 4-0 or 3-0, they clinch the first seed, and Tailwind will get second seed. But if Exodus wins and it's not a 4-0 or a 3-0, Exodus is going to get the second seed, and Tailwind is going to get the first seed.
Yeah, like you're talking about there, this is a very, very important match, and I also think it's going to be a good one. Like I mentioned, both these teams were both very good last season, and again are very good this season. Exodus only losing to Prodigious before their unfortunate rebuild, and as well as a loss to, I believe, Tempest in Stage 2. Am I wrong about that? I think they lost to Tempest.
I believe Exodus beat Tempest. I think that I'm not 100% sure, but Exodus did pick up one loss in Stage 2, so picking up the second win is absolutely crucial for them. Like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much the deciding factor between them getting first, second, and 5th seed. If they do happen to lose this game, they will get the 5th seed, Tempest will move to the 2nd seed, and Tailwind will clinch the 1st seed. And yeah, heading into our first map here is going to be Busan. And on Control and Busan, what do you like to see run here, Needle?
Well, I think there are a lot of different things that we can see. I like to see a lot of Brawl, honestly. I mean, I don't really mind the Brawl. I like it when teams go Reinhardt. Winston, I'm not the biggest fan. You know, he was a hero that we didn't see for a while. A lot of players missed him because of dive, but I really love watching Reinhardt and just the shatters, the main tank differences. You know, it's really fun to see. As well as the McCrees. McCree, I don't know if teams are going to play him. I just expect to see a lot of Sombra Reaper from both of these teams overall, but there's a lot of variance depending on which point we get to. Like downtown, we can see heroes like Widowmaker, even Mercy, Pharah, perhaps Zen. Probably not going to see Zen from either of these teams, but it's a possibility. And there's potential for double shield as well. Maybe, just maybe, double shield. If we go to Busan, what's the one with the drum in the middle? What's that one called, Chim?
I believe Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Yep.
I think
And,
double
yeah.
shield's still pretty strong there. So I think there's definitely a lot of variance. We're probably going to see Brawl on a mecha base, but there's a lot of variance, and I think we'll get to see a good idea. First map, you always get to see what a team wants to do for the rest of the series. You know, some teams lose first map as a warm up. It happens. But we're having a few lobby issues here. But we'll be in momentarily. Still on Busan. But yeah, we get to see. I think we get to see how the teams are gonna shape up for the rest of the series in map 1 and what comps they like to play. So I always love to watch good control.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, the Reinhardt battles are pretty much probably the most fun thing to see, or to spectate in Overwatch. It's personally my favorite thing to cast. I think that, you know, Reinhardt's pretty viable on 2 out of these 3. He's not very good on downtown because of, you know, all the verticality. Reinhardt's not very good at, you know, getting that high ground. He's definitely not as good as Winston is that. So I think Mecha Base and Shrine, Reinhardt is super viable. You can run those types of brawl comps, the short range comps with Lucio's, just because of the short sight lines and the close quarters on Mecha Base and Sanctuary. But yeah, those are some of the comps I like to see. But Dive, I think, is probably the look we're going to see from both of these teams. The Reaper Sombra, Moira Lucio, Winston Diva is a super popular composition that we get to see played by a lot of teams in general, and a lot in Discord tier, honestly, from what we've casted and seen so far.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of Discord teams like the Reaper Sombra. Still having a few technical difficulties. We're trying to get everything sorted out, but, you know, first map, yeah, I'm probably going to see a lot of Reaper Sombra, but I'm going to be very interested to see if either of these teams has a different take on what's going to be played. Like, if these teams bring out a lot of Reinhardt, perhaps, if they bring out a lot of double shield, maybe even some chaos comps with Roadhog, Ball, Zarya. You know, I think that there's a lot of different things that teams are playing right now. Primarily Reaper Sombra and Discord tier, but I definitely think there's a lot of things you can pull out as we continue to stray further and further away from the Overwatch League patch with every new patch we get. So as much as Reaper Sombra is what I expect, we can see a lot of different looks here.
All right, and heading into our first map is going to be Mecha Based. Going to see Exodus on the Reinhardt Diva composition and Tailwind on the Reinhardt Zarya composition, both meeting aggressively here on the left side. Both teams have such aggressive comps and going with, and J-Vice with the first pick on the Chad. Going to be huge for the advantage for Tailwind. There's just going to be no healing for Cryptic as he's going to fall to Cubed, and Tailwind just going to have a free push here to clean up the remaining members of Exodus.
Yeah, that was a really good first kill, but now we get to see Climate is on the Zarya and he's going to maintain his high energy from this fight. So that's going to be really good for Tailwind, as well as having a Doomfist. It's going to be so tough for Exodus to break back into these chokes. They don't have any ultimate to do it yet since Chad died early. He could not get close to his Coalescence. So right now, Tailwind looking to be in the driver's seat, but this is a nice little fake engage here from Exodus. I can only assume it's a fake because teams never actually go right side.
Exodus heading aggressively at the left, and a Fire Strike from Cryptic is going to take J-Vice down early. They're going to push him so aggressively. All the one-shot potential from Tailwind is just gone. Even though Climate almost with that grab, Demonic Rain is going to pop the Coalescence, keep the team up. Cryptic goes down. Both teams trade the main tanks, but this grab right here could be the deciding factor in this fight, which could go anyone's way. The EMP comes out, though. It does catch 4. The EMP from Poochie is absolutely massive, and the point does turn shortly to Exodus, as this fight is still pretty even on point. No team with a definite advantage. Polar does go down, and Exodus is looking better in this fight, and they will go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, that was a really good bait engage. Forced Tailwind to split up there, and J-Vice got caught out, and then a nice EMP by Poochie, and good cleanup there by Placebo. Exodus, a lot of the players playing well that fight, and they have the beat just in time for Climate's grab. So I think this is going to be a pretty key battle here, as we can see if Climate gets a lot of value out of his grab, this could be a big ultimate here for Tailwind, as they decide to take a unique engage.
Taking the engage to the bottom, and the Shatter comes out from Cryptic and Zui, both absolutely huge. Cactus with the bomb. Cactus Climate, 3 picks for Cactus as the Reaper roll does come out from Panda Games. Doesn't catch anything, but a really nice team fight there from Exodus. They went in so fast, and Cactus got 3 picks all by himself.
Yeah, that was a good engage, but perhaps a little bit of an overcommit there from Exodus. They had to use 4 ultimates, and Tailwind did lose arguably their most important ult, their Graviton Surge, but they still have the Doomfist ult, they have the Reaper ult, and they almost have the Sound Barrier as well. So they have a lot of tools to sustain and get a lot of damage in this next fight.
Repo comes out from Polar really early, catches Chad again, and that's going to be no healing again for Exodus. Cryptic falls so low, Panda Games is found as well, and Tailwind is just free to push on a point and do whatever they please because Chad is not alive and the team just can't get healed.
Yeah, that's really good for Tailwind. They're winning so fast as well. Leaves Exodus at only 72%, so they're going to have to win 2 fights, but they do have a good tool to win this next one with Pucci having his EMP online. Kaditrix, he is 99% to his beat. He's definitely going to have it in time. The question is, will he actually dodge the EMP as Pucci is looking to set up for it right now?
Yeah, Exodus just taking this slow. It does pop the Coalescence for the engage. The Coalescence counter, though, a nice hack from Pucci is going to cancel that. The EMP comes out as well. Catches 6. Kaditrix does not have a chance to get the beat out. And Exodus is going to push so aggressively onto this point. The members of Tailwind just falling so low. Cryptic with a double fire strike kill, though, could turn the fight. Cubed with a nice shatter. Does catch multiple members of Exodus. The beat comes out from Kaditrix to keep Tailwind up. Polar with 2 picks for himself. The fight could still go anyone's way. Cactus with the Diva Bomb to try to clean up. Polar falls to 1 HP, does fall to the Baby Diva. J-Vice does catch Cactus though before he can remech. And members of Tailwind are starting to come back to the point, as well as members of Exodus. Cryptic Shatter does not quite connect as he falls extremely low. Does charge to try to get a quick pick. Panda Games finds J-Vice, and the fight is just still going on. Could be anyone's game, but now Climate with the grab catches Placebo. Placebo falls, and Tailwind still not looking to have complete control over this fight.
Yeah, this is insanely back and forth. A lot of ultimates used. I believe this might be Polar's second Death Blossom in this fight. I could be wrong, but right now Tailwind, they look like they're stabilizing. They're maintaining control. Initially turning around off a great shatter from Cube and some good follow-up, but wow, that was crazy from Tailwind turning that fight around after Pucci had a really good hack on the Moira at the beginning too, and the 6-man EMP, but Tailwind, they stabilized so well in that last fight. It was a long one, but overall, pretty well played there from Tailwind.
Yeah, that was a great point from Tailwind. We saw Polar in the last fight, which lasted, about 30 or 40%. I think you are right. He did have 2 Death Blossoms, got, I think, maybe 5 or 6 picks across the entire extended fight during the stall. So great job from Polar there and the rest of Tailwind. They did a great job playing that aggressive brawl. But moving on to the next map of Busan, we see a different look from Tailwind. Going to be opting for the Monkey and the Winston and the Diva composition, while Exodus continues with the Reinhardt and Diva.
Yeah, I like this comp a lot more. I don't really think you play the Doomfist and the Rhine as much here on Sanctuary, but I'm a bit confused with the Tracer pick with this comp for Exodus. I don't think it's going to work out well for them, but, Panda Games might prove me wrong. He's a really good player.
Yeah, both teams taking the aggressive positioning inside the little drum room, going for aggressive dives. Cryptic falls to half HP. They're going to be forced backwards a little bit, and both teams just waiting for hacks, waiting for the advantage. A nice move from Kaditrix, going to push Cryptic forward. The shield goes down, and he falls extremely low. He's going to have to cut it all the way back, and is finally taken out by Climate. Tailwind now with a huge advantage, goes super aggressive into the Exodus, and should be able to clean up this fight.
Yeah, having the Reaper there for Tailwind just helped them command so much space. They took control of the drum, and past that, they were just able to get a good kill on Cryptic there. Very difficult first fight there for Exodus, but they have a lot of tools to get into this next one. They almost have the EMP and the Pulse Bomb online. Those ultimates charging quite fast despite them losing that fight.
Yeah, and without the Reaper from the side of Exodus, instead of opting for the Tracers, they just don't have enough frontline damage to take down Cubed on the Winston or Climate on the Diva. So all they can do pretty much is just poke with the double flanker composition. The Coalescence comes out from Tailwind, but a nice stick from Panda Games gonna take him down, and now it's an even fight. Cryptic falls, Tailwind back with the advantage though now that there's no main tank for Exodus. Panda Games though with his second pick of the fight is putting his team back in it. J-Vice falls as well, 3 pick for Panda Games, finally taken down by Polar. Exodus still with a 2-man advantage here on point. Climate falls as he is out of mech, and now Exodus has to cap the point, and they've won the fight.
Yeah, Tailwind might have pushed a bit too far forward there, not expecting the Pulse Bomb from Panda Games, but that was a really good one. A stick on the Coalescing Moira, great there by great play there by Panda Games, really helping his team win that fight, but there are a lot of ultimates online for both teams now. The EMP is still online, Kaditrix has the beat to counter it. The EMP online for Polar as well, Placebo almost at that beat, so it's going to be a battle of the EMPs and the beats here in this fight.
Polar already positioning for this aggressive EMP. He's going to be the key for Tailwind's success in this fight. The EMP comes out early though from Poochie. The beat comes out to try to negate it. Cactus with the Diva Bomb to follow up. Doesn't find anything. Diva Bomb now from Climate. And the EMP to cancel the shield. Cryptic goes down. The beat comes out just a little late from Placebo to save Cryptic's life. And now with the one-man advantage and with Exodus having no main tank, Tailwind taking an extremely aggressive dive onto the point, trying to clean up these remaining members, but Exodus still with a chance here in the fight. Chad does fall, and Exodus should be able, Tailwind should be able to clean up the remaining members and win this fight.
Yeah, that was a great job there by Tailwind stabilizing after Exodus decided to use their EMP first. They used the beat, but the EMP bomb was not enough there for Exodus, and then Tailwind coming back in with their EMP bomb, a very well-timed EMP from Polar. I don't think Placebo was expecting the EMP to come out with the bomb, which unfortunately killed Cryptic there. But Cryptic, he has the Shatter now, and there is no shield. There's only a bubble on the side of Tailwind, so I definitely think that Shatter can get a lot of value here.
And the Shatter is going to be the key to success here. The Coalescence comes out from Chad early to keep the team up. There's a Reaper ult though from J-Vice, catches Placebo early. Cryptic with the Shatter, try to save the fight, only catches Q, but there's not enough damage to follow up. J-Vice with 2 picks, picks off Poochie for 4 kills for J-Vice there in this fight. And Exodus gonna have to regroup for their final fight of Busan.
Yeah, despite a pretty good Shatter there from Cryptic, there's just not much you can do on the Reinhardt. His shield, you know, despite being double the HP of Winston's bubble, it just gets pressured down so fast because Javis is on the Reaper and he's doing so much damage. But now Poochie has the EMP pretty fast here. Kadidrix has the beat as well. Both of these ultimates charging quite fast, but if Poochie can get an unexpected EMP, that could help Exodus get back in here.
Polar with the early EMP is gonna get Poochie hacked. He's not gonna be able to EMP as he does fall to Demonic Rain. The beat comes out from Kadidrix to keep his team up as he knows Poochie can't use the EMP because he's dead. Cactus finds J-Vice and both teams with ults, so Exodus almost C9s the point. Multiple members of Exodus dead. The Pulse Bomb comes out from Panda Games to try to save the fight. Doesn't connect with anything. Cryptic falls extremely low. Poochie with the 4-man EMP, but there's just not enough to follow up. And Tailwind cleans up the remaining members of Exodus and takes Busan 2-0.
Yeah, two very clean point wins there for Tailwind. You know, Exodus, they weren't playing poorly by any means. They definitely had some good moments, but Tailwind just looked very, very clean in their play. Their ultimate rotations are better than Exodus's. Their compositional picks, in my opinion, have been better than Exodus. Tailwind just looked like a more polished team so far, at least in this first map. But Exodus, I definitely think they're not out of it by any means. You know, despite losing control 2-0. It's control. You know, maybe it's first map jitters. 2, Exodus did have signs of brilliance there at some points. Some fights were really, really good. There were some really great individual plays at some points as well. So I think as we head into 2CP, we're going to see probably some different comps, maybe some roster switches as well. I know Tailwind have 7 players, so this match is definitely not over. You know, it's definitely not the right call to say that it's over at a 1-0, despite Tailwind looking so good.
Yeah, and just Tailwind does pick up the first map, which means they are going to clinch the first seed, but it's still an incredibly important match because if Exodus loses, they will fall to 5th seed, and if they manage to win, which is still a super, super high possibility, they can clinch the 2nd seed. So it's definitely not any time. There shouldn't be a time for Exodus to, you know, give up or lose hope because they can't get the 1st seed anymore. This is still a game that they definitely need to take probably more serious than any game this season so far. So Exodus really, they looked good, like you said. They had their streaks of brilliance. I think maybe moving on to a different map type where they can play more of their own favorite comps will work better for them. But I think that Exodus has a great chance of winning this match as long as they stick to their guns and, you know, just try to get out those jitters. And yeah.
Yep, I completely agree, Chim. I think that this match is still very important for Exodus. You do not, if you're playing Tailwind, like, you don't want to lose them heavily here because, like you said, they'll be 5th seed, which means they're going to be on the same side of the bracket as Tailwind, which I believe, which you don't want to be if you just lost to them. So you definitely want to play for 2nd seed here. Then at the very worst, you'd see Tailwind in finals for Discord Indigo. But this match, it's super good so far. Like, it's really good. At least it's refreshing to me to see some really good Overwatch. Not that we haven't seen it, but like these teams in Pool A are so good. These Indigo specifically is just a very, very strong pool. These two teams, arguably the strongest teams in Indigo, with Exodus being 1-1, Tailwind being 2-0. So this is just a very, very good match, and I'm hoping for 3 or maybe 4 even very good maps after that first one. But we get to head into Volskaya now. I'm not entirely sure what these teams are going to play here. I think there's a lot of variance when it comes to Volskaya. Winston is a very popular pick overall, but we get to see potential for Ashe, Widowmaker, Mercy, Zen, Ana on the defense. You know, those kinds of heroes, and that's what we're looking at so far from Tailwind, with being on the Zenyatta, the Tracer, the Mercy, the Ashe. They have a very high damage dive composition, while Exodus currently showing the Reaper Sombra, what is arguably dubbed the meta, the Reaper Sombra, more Lucio, Winston Diva comp, which I think can definitely struggle sometimes against a well-played Zen Mercy. If you don't punish that Zen and that Ashe hard enough, then you're just not going to have a good time because of how much damage that the composition from Tailwind can output.
You've got insane damage from the Ashe with the Mercy Pocket. The Dynamites, I mean, just by themselves, do insane damage even with the nerf. And, you know, the Zen Discord Orb included too is just insane damage. So Exodus is going to have to take this smart. They got to not take poke from the Zenyatta and the Ashe, and they just got to dive in aggressively, I think, is how they're going to beat this composition. But they are going out here to the right side, trying to take high ground. Placebo falls super early, though. A nice shot from J-Vice takes him down. Now Exodus is not going to be able to push in as aggressively as they had hoped. They're going to have to wait for the Lucio to get back.
Yeah, this is just a really, really, really good setup from Tailwind. We get to see some teams like to play really far back when they play this composition, but Tailwind, they're not afraid to push their advantage. They're not afraid to have their Ashe Mercy here, denying Placebo the ability to even get through the choke there. But now Placebo is back, and Exodus are looking to take some space here, going towards the top right. But it's going to be still difficult for them to find a good engage against the composition that Tailwind have.
Exodus taking just the top right, trying to recuperate, get their abilities back. The hack goes on into Climate. Climate falls extremely low, and with the Mercy Zen, there's not a lot of heals available. So if Exodus doesn't push this advantage, or if they do push this advantage, they could be in a really good spot. But they do opt to, you know, play it passively and take the Ashe poke, which is a little interesting to me. The Coalescence does come out from Chad, though. The bob from J-Vice in response is huge to try to deny a lot of the Coalescence heals. Demonic Rain goes down early, Cryptic as well. J-Vice, though, with 2 picks, Cthulhu with 1 pick of his own. The DPS duo of Tailwind popping off to kill the remaining members of Exodus.
Yeah, despite losing 1 member there, you can't really just stop Tailwind by just letting them go on the high ground and then going hard after the Zen. That's just not... It's just not going to work here if you're Exodus. It might work this time with Poochie almost having his EMP, and EMP is definitely going to be big for countering Tailwind's comp, but if you're Exodus, you have to take high ground here in some form. Otherwise, you're just going to get absolutely destroyed by Cthulhu and J-Vice, just like they did last fight. Because the DPS are just so free if you try to hard commit onto the Zenyatta here. If you're Exodus,
Cryptic going through the aggressive dives falls so low. Tailwind is going to be forced off the high ground though. Cthulhu's bomb takes down Cryptic, and now Exodus does not want to push into there. They don't want any piece of that without the Winston bubble denying all that long range damage when they dive in.
yeah, another very clean fight from Tailwind as Exodus just try to make something happen, but they do have a great ability to make something happen in this next fight because Poochie now has his EMP online. Demonic Rain, if he can cancel out that EMP, or not cancel out, but effectively cancel out with a nice trance, that'd be really, really good for Tailwind and all but kill Exodus here on point A. But it's all going to come down to Poochie's EMP here if you are Exodus. And now Chad going on to the Ana as well to maybe give them a chance in case Demonic Rain pops the trance. They still have the anti-nade with Chad now on Ana. So I like this swap point here from Exodus. It's a pretty smart play.
Exodus taking this left high ground. They're going to try to EMP on the high ground. Maybe if Poochie can bait out the Transcendence would be absolutely massive. But Demonic Rain now with the Transcendence just has to react to the Sombra uncloaking pretty much. Kaditrix does pop the Valkyrie up early, try to keep the team up. Poochie attempting to force a Transcendence by uncloaking. The EMP comes out though. Demonic Rain does not get hacked. The Transcendence comes out to keep Tailwind up. Cactus with the Diva Bomb doesn't find anything. J-Vice falls extremely low. Placebo with the beat to keep Exodus up. And Cryptic with 1 primal kill already, looking to knock Demonic Rain off of the map. Another Pulse Bomb comes out from Cthulhu, doesn't connect, is taken down by Chad. Climate with the Diva Bomb to try to remech though. Doesn't find anything, does demech Cactus. as just both members of both teams finding individual picks, and despite still not over, going either team's way still, as the Bob comes out from J-Vice.
Yeah, I think Exodus now standing in control a bit, but yeah, it looks like Exodus are going to cap this first point. And that was a great kill by Cryptic there onto J-Vice. Taking out the Ashe there really, really helps your team because they were allowed to take the aggressive engage after that Ashe is gone. The res came out a bit late, unfortunately, likely because it was zoned off well by Exodus. So a good engage there, despite the EMP being countered. And speaking of EMP, Poochie almost has another EMP, and they have Nano online as well. Exodus do, so a Nano Monkey EMP engage could be really, really deadly for them here, and could give them a good time bank, despite getting held for a while.
Poochie with almost 80% already, which is ridiculous. It's so good for Poochie and Exodus. And Demonic Rain only with 30% of the Transcendence. There's absolutely no way he's going to be able to build this Transcendence before Poochie can get this next EMP. So as long as Exodus plays this smart and plays for that EMP, I don't see Tailwind winning this next fight here, as Exodus does go for the aggressive dive. Chad falls low, J-Vice does finish off Placebo, and now they're down one support. I don't know if they're not going to want to commit this EMP this fight, but, you know, they're only down 2 now. Cryptic does fall, and now they're really going to have to reset here. Kudershix falls, Chad does as well, and now with no main healer, Exodus going to have to die on point.
Yeah, Exodus may be anticipating that Demonic Rain was a bit closer to that Transcendence, but that's a pretty crucial error because they definitely could have won that fight if they just charged up their EMP there, but they decided to go in without their EMP and without their Nano. Bit of an unfortunate call there. Maybe expecting, like I mentioned, Demonic Rain to have trance, but now he does. So this is going to be a much harder fight for Exodus to win with Demonic Rain having the Transcendence, being able to cancel out the EMP again like he did on first point. But here we get to see Exodus engaging very aggressively here.
Yeah, Exodus diving aggressively onto this top right high ground does force the tanks of Tailwind back, as the tanks of Exodus will have a lot more sustain from the Ana and Lucio, rather than the Mercy and Zen. The bomb comes out, almost connects with both supports, doesn't quite though. Cryptic with the Primal Rage going onto Demonic Rain. He barely manages to build a Transcendence, as the DPS duo from Tailwind again finding so many picks. The Nano Boost onto Cryptic just allow him to take down 2. The fight going in Tailwind's favor, as Poochie with the 4-man EMP, Cthulhu falls, and Exodus able to pick off multiple more members, but Tailwind does have the spawn advantage, and they have such a good chance in winning this fight as long as Cubed with this with the Primal Rage now can continue to stall.
Yeah, Tailwind has the spawn advantage. They have Primal and they have Diva Bomb, so I think this is going to be a very difficult fight for Exodus to win. Despite having the numbers advantage, they lose a few key members. Not quite over yet, as Climate's Bomb finds no kills there, but he's back in mech and he's still stalling out the points. Cthulhu has Pulse Bomb online. He has not used it yet. He could get a good kill here to help further cement his team coming back, and Poochie's EMP gets cancelled! Wow, great stabilize there from Tailwind. Really turning that fight around after losing a lot of members.
Yeah, Poochie doesn't quite manage to get the EMP off. He tried to do it in an act of desperation, as it was almost last fight. Cryptic now the only member who can touch. He does get pulse bombed. He falls so low. He is killed before he can manage to touch the point. Poochie does touch, which will bring it to overtime for Exodus, but it's still not looking too good for them. The pulse bomb comes out, catches 2 actually, and now Exodus does have a good chance of winning this fight. They're gonna have to touch the point though. They are getting booped off, and they are able to touch. Cactus barely gets demech before he can build that bomb. Cryptic able to touch on the ball, not going to be able to live for long, uses his adaptive shields. J-Vice is going to bring him down, and Exodus is not going to be able to cap point 2 of Volskaya.
Yeah, that was very well played again, just like last map from Tailwind. It's just so clean. They held point A for so long. They negated the EMP from Poochie on point A as well, but it was not quite enough for them to get that first point hold. But then they went to second point, and maybe a bit off of the back of a few mistakes from Exodus, Tailwind getting another clean hold, but really coming back in that fight on point B, that stall fight, not even giving a tick. Very bold play from Tailwind, but it worked out so well for them, as it's going to be difficult for them to even lose. If they can get first point, then they're guaranteed at least a draw, which is really good for them there, and unfortunately for Exodus, not good for them. But I hope we see Exodus change it up a bit here with their next composition. They are playing the Reaper Sombra again on defense. Personally, I think that Tailwind's composition with the Ashe, the Zen, the Mercy is better than this Reaper Sombra. It can control high ground really effectively and make it difficult for teams playing the Reaper Sombra to push in. just like we saw Exodus struggle to push in with their Reaper Sombra against Tailwind's defense composition. But I think that Exodus could make this work. It's definitely a very bold play. I would expect something bolder. This is bold. Just saying, okay, you guys have been playing meta really well, but we're just gonna play meta back. That's definitely bold. I would have hoped for something like a Bastion or something like what Tailwind was playing instead, trying to hold first point, like some Gambit Jim, but they are going for the Gambit of thinking that they can beat Tailwind in the mirror, which we haven't seen so far, but maybe we'll see it now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the Bastion call there. Don't think that's the move, but in the meta mirror, Exodus is gonna opt to hold really close and try to deny Tailwind the space, and that already fails. Tailwind does manage to get the high ground now. It looks like Exodus is attacking this point. Tailwind's defending. They get all the space from themselves. They do get control of the Mega Room. The health pack hacked in their favor. And now Tailwind can pretty much do whatever they want. Exodus is forcing this low ground. They have to wait for Tailwind to push in. Cubed engages with the bubble. He does fall low, but no picks found on either side yet. Just a big poke fest here as a huge boot from Placebo takes Cthulhu off, and now Exodus finally with disadvantage. Poochie takes down Cube, and a great boot from Placebo is gonna save the fight for Exodus.
Yeah, very, very, very clutch boop there from Placebo. Exodus had no right winning that fight after they just gave up high ground like that, but great boop from Placebo. They turned it around, and now the ultimates are looking a bit good for actually both teams, honestly. Both teams almost have their EMP if they don't have it. J-Vice has his a little bit before Poochie, but that's not going to matter much. But neither Lucio has the sound barrier to counter the EMPs. That's going to be critical here, because if one of the Sombras can hack the other one, or maybe even cancel their EMP with their Sombra's own EMP, that could be massive here.
Yeah, big EMP from Poochie. He's going to catch 4 members of Tailwind. They are going to be forced back into the room. Chat with the Coalescence to follow up, try to do the damage. Cactus does throw the bomb out, and it's huge. J-Vice and Cadrixix go down, cubed as well, and now Tailwind's gonna have to reset. A really, really nicely executed fight there from Exodus.
Yeah, I love that 2-prong attack going in both doors with the EMP and the bomb from Exodus. That was a really, really, really clean fight win. But at the same time, J-Vice, he still has the EMP online. Placebo, he might get beaten time, he might not, only 84% to it. So I think it's gonna really come down to that this next fight. But other than that, there are a lot of ultimates for Tailwind. They have the Coalescence, which can be a really good engagement tool, and they have both tank ultimates to sustain. So Tailwind, Exodus, that was a good last fight, but this fight, they're not in the best position.
And J-Vice going super aggressive. The EMP catches 4. Placebo not with the beat yet. He will have a chance to use it mid-fight if he opts to. Cactus does get demech though, and the beat does come out to keep Exodus up. The beat from Cadrixix comes out in response. Cryptic falls, and now down 2 members. Now down 3 members. Exodus is gonna have to give up this first point to Tailwind.
Yeah, really smart engage from Tailwind there, banking off the fact that Placebo was not quite at his beat. Good ultimate tracking there by Tailwind. As they secure the fight, having to invest a few ultimates, but at the same time, they have, I believe, 4 minutes on the clock to cap only 1 tick of point B. This is looking very, very bleak for Exodus. But this next fight isn't, because they have EMP online. There's no beat for Cadrixix as he used to counter Placebo's beat last fight. So this should be a clean fight win for Exodus.
A 5-man EMP comes out from Poochie. Panda Games with the Blossom to follow up only finds 1. Both teams now with no main tank. And, Tailwind, actually J-Vice does get a pick. Placebo gets 1 in return, Panda Games as well. And I was going to say, this fight was looking winnable for Tailwind, even though that Exodus has a spawn advantage. But Exodus does manage to find the picks and force Tailwind back.
See, the problem is for Exodus here, now they have to find a fight win where they're not necessarily at an advantage, which is something that they've struggled to find a bit here so far this series. We got to see a big boop from Placebo on point A, winning a fight that they were at a disadvantage in, but I hope to see some heroic plays here from Exodus, maybe with their Diva Bomb or their Primal Rage, something to come out here, as Tailwind looked had the advantage of this fight, being way closer to their EMP as well as their Coalescence.
I think the key to winning this fight for Tailwind is just letting J-Vice build that EMP. Going in with 4 ults is going to just be way too much for Exodus to handle. They are going to opt to push in a little bit. J-Vice is going to be able to build this EMP. 96%. We'll have it in just a second. And now Tailwind's going to be starting to go aggressive here. They do have 4 ults. Demonic Rain uses the Coalescence to engage. Cthulhu with the Reaper ult catches 2 before the EMP even goes out. 3 for Cthulhu. Is going to manage to find the Baby Diva, making out a 4K for Cthulhu this fight. Chad with the Coalescence attempting to keep up the rest of his team, and Cthulhu with a 5K carries Tailwind to cap second point, and they are going to win Volskaya 2-1.
Yeah, both of these teams have looked great so far. Exodus, despite losing 2-0 and not the closest fashion ever, have still looked like a good team so far in the series. But Tailwind are just a team that look like they're on another level here. No offense to Exodus. It's just Exodus are winning almost every, if not every, fight that they should win, but they're not winning any of the fights that they shouldn't win, which Tailwind are pulling off magnificently so far. Winning fights that they're stalling out on both maps so far this series. Pulling out the clutch factor for Tailwind is just too good here so far, and it's led to them being up 2-0. They're winning a lot of fights just based off of like either mechanical skill or really good individual plays. Not to say that Exodus don't have good mechanical skill or individual players. They definitely do, but Tailwind overall have just looked more clutch so far. And I think clutch teams, especially when it comes to a Reaper Sombra meta, are the ones that are generally favored. And Tailwind, they have definitely been a clutch team so far. They've looked really good so far in the series.
Yeah, Tailwind's coordination, their ult usage, their ult rotations, and their general target focus and rotations of their pathing has been really, really good. And I think that's pretty much what has been giving them the advantage the entire series. And especially like you mentioned, the neutral fights where neither teams have ults, or maybe one team has one ult, maybe like a coalescence, not a super fight changing ult. And Tailwind are winning most of those fights. So I think that Exodus just has to take this halftime to take a breather. Maybe talk to their coach, figure out what they need to do, but I think Exodus is definitely still not out of this. A 3-2 win still would put them at second seed, and I think Exodus now more than ever should not give up.
Yep, I completely agree, Chim. As I believe we're going to be heading into a halftime here, but we'll see you guys after the break.
Satan sucks, but you're the best. Holy smokes, you pass the test. When I'm with you, I feel blessed. A chinchilla. Satan sucks, but you're okay. Since you came, things go my way. Here tomorrow, here today, a chinchilla. One day I woke up and everything was beautiful. My troubles had all fallen out the window. Satan sucks, but you're divine. Sitting pretty by my side. My oh my, a chinchilla. Standard issue
Alright, welcome back to the second half of the Tailwind versus Exodus game out of the Overwatch Tranquility community. Currently, Exodus is in the lead, Tailwind is in the lead 2-0, taking both Busan and Volskaya. Heading into our third map is going to be Blizzard World, where Exodus is going to have to pull something out that's probably a different look from the first two maps to try to start and complete this reverse sweep. What do you think Exodus should pull out or try to counter what Tailwind has been playing?
I think there are a few different things that they can do, Chim, to try to turn this around. I think if they feel confident after rejuvenating at the halftime, perhaps they could attempt to do the Somber Reaper mirror again. I don't think it's going to work out well for them, but if they have the confidence to run it again and they can turn it around, I think that'd be great. But I think their better option is to try to change up their strategy, maybe play more long-range hit scan. I'm not sure exactly what they would play with it. They could play Winston. They could even play Orisa. You know, I'm just hoping we get to see something different from Exodus, either a different look on the Reaper Sombra or a different composition entirely here on Blizzard World. I definitely think there are a lot of options. I think a composition that I don't entirely hate even would be Ashe Echo against this Reaper Sombra. Wouldn't even be that bad. I think Echo is kind of decent after the hit scan nerfs. She can definitely get a lot of value, especially against the tanks of the Reaper Sombra composition. So I think that's definitely a pick that they're probably not going to go for, but it's something that they could maybe pull out and help turn it around. But I hope that Oker's come up with something good for them here, because they, like you said, they really do need something, because Tailwind have just looked so good so far on the Reaper Sombra and a few other compositions as well.
Yeah, I think Tailwind, the key to them winning is just sticking to their guns, which has been this Reaper Sombra comp, which they've looked really dominant on so far. Although, you know, the two maps, aside from the scoreline, have been pretty close, actually. Exodus has shown that they can win these fights. They can, you know, they cap first point Volskaya. It was a tough first attack, but they managed to regroup, and they showed that they can definitely beat Tailwind in some places. So, like you said, I'm hoping that their coach Oker has come up with something for them, or maybe they've practiced some other comp that we haven't seen yet. But I think that Exodus still has a chance of completing this reverse sweep, which would guarantee them the second seed in playoffs.
Yeah, reverse sweep would be massive for them here, as well as just having the momentum going in off of a reverse sweep. You've got to be so hyped. Reverse sweeps are always super hype, and then you're going into playoffs after that on a reverse sweep. That'd be absolutely amazing for Exodus, but they have to win this map to make it happen. And I'm interested to see what they're going to pull out here. They are going to be on attack first, and this is probably not what they're going to be playing, so I don't know. I can't really analyze what they're playing, but I can analyze what Tailwind are playing, and no surprise, same old Reaper Sombra. It's worked so well for them so far this series, and it looks like Exodus are leaning towards the same thing. Maybe not. They're still trolling a bit. They're still trolling me. They're baiting me. Come on, Exodus. But the Reaper Sombras look so good so far from Tailwind. If Exodus do decide to mirror again, it's going to be really rough.
Yeah, Exodus, not sure what they're playing yet. I don't think Cryptic's going to be on D.Va and Cactus on Winston. I think they're just messing with us a little bit, as Chad does switch over to the Moira, and the tanks are going to swap back to Winston D.Va, and it looks like they are going to be back to the mirror, giving this composition one more shot. They didn't win the mirror matchup on Volskaya or Busan, but, you know, it's a second half. Maybe they got a little pep talk from their coach, so I definitely think they still have the chance to win this. They are taking this right room here, taking control of the Mega and just slowly pushing up.
Yeah, but Tailwind, they're going to make it really difficult for Exodus to win here, as Exodus are looking to engage aggressively on them.
Yeah, Tailwind forced back into the Mega Room. Exodus just slowly pushing up, trying to wait for a big hack, maybe on the Winston or the D.Va, and they're still not doing much. They're still just standing there. Chad, 70% of this Coalescence. Demonic Rain only 60, now almost matched. Exodus now playing slow for this Coalescence here. Cube Ball's extremely low. J-Vice almost to the EMP as well. Chad about to cop the Coalescence. Does that exactly. Cryptic goes down though just before the Coalescence. J-Vice with the EMP though. Catches 4. Demonic Rain pops Coalescence as well just to clean up the fight. Panda Games though, the Reaper roll comes out at the end of the fight to try to sway it. Does not quite work, and Exodus gonna lose that fight after committing the Coalescence.
Very back and forth, bit of a sloppy fight there. A few important ultimates coming out. J-Vice uses EMP, and he's already 60% to another one, Chim. That's crazy. But I was going to comment on how Exodus have an advantage with J-Vice using his EMP, but Exodus are already coming back in. J-Vice almost has his EMP again, and Poochie decides to use his, and it's massive.
Kaditrix does hide from the EMP, a very smart hide from him. The beat comes out to negate basically all the effects of the EMP. Cthulhu with the Reaper ult though, a little bit questionable after the fight was already won, but J-Vice already has EMP again, so it doesn't really matter for Tailwind, even though they commit so many ults after the fight win.
Yeah, I really didn't expect that Exodus to come in so fast there, so sorry I didn't give you much chance to talk, but J-Vice, he has EMP again, as you said. Poochie, you know, he has been lapped, unfortunately, but that's just because J-Vice is just, he just used it, and it charged up so fast, it's crazy. But the beat is online for Placebo, so he is able to counter it if he hides effectively.
Yeah, the EMP comes out, but J-Vice, it gets interrupted, he's gonna get killed. Climate's bomb does not connect. The beat comes out from Exodus to keep the team up. They are going to go super aggressively now with a huge advantage. No tanks and no Reaper now for the side of Tailwind. And the remaining members of Tailwind are just going to be the D.Va and the Moira. They are going to be found, and Exodus is going to cap this first point after a really nice EMP cancel from Exodus.
This is what Exodus need to turn the series around in a reverse sweep. Winning the fights, as I mentioned earlier, winning the fights that they shouldn't win. By no means should they win that fight. Maybe if they countered the EMP effectively with a beat, but they won it by killing J-Vice out of EMP. That was an absolutely insane play from Exodus, and their momentum may continue forward as Poochie has his EMP. Poochie will likely have his EMP before Kaditrix can get his beat online.
Exodus going to be taking the high ground here, and like you said, Poochie with the EMP, I mean, just the EMP and the Reaper are pretty much enough to guarantee a fight win. So Poochie can build this really quick and maybe bait Tailwind in a little bit because they know they don't have the EMP. Use the EMP and the Reaper ult together would be absolutely huge. The D.Va bomb does come out from Cactus, but 2 picks early before the EMP can come out from Poochie. He's found it, luckily for him, does not pop before he dies, but that's 2 early picks which negate the entire effect of Cactus bomb, although not too many ults committed there.
Yeah, very, very smart play by Tailwind. They're being so aggressive, especially when they know that Exodus are going for plays like the EMP. They just denied them the ability to even do that. Poochie could not use his EMP there. He just didn't have a good enough opportunity. But this fight, he just may. The EMP Reaper ult could be massive, but Kaditrix has his beat online, but he's caught out by the EMP.
It's a huge EMP from Poochie. Catches 5. Kaditrix is hacked. The beat not able to go out, and too many members of Tailwind has fallen. Kaditrix is not going to commit that beat. Although Cthulhu does find a pick, try to save the fight. It's not looking too good for Tailwind here. X is going to pick up the last remaining members of Tailwind and continue to push cart.
Yeah, great fight there for Tailwind, but Kaditrix, he still has the beat online. Placebo almost has his as well. Almost might be in time for J-Vice's EMP, might not. That's something to keep your eye on. But the EMP Reaper ult used there by Exodus now is online for Tailwind. That could be massive here, but Exodus are doing a really good job of trying to control the high ground here so far. I like this play from them.
Chad, with his Coalescence, it might not be enough to stop all of these ultimates from Tailwind. The EMP comes out from J-Vice as well as a Death Blast, and Cthulhu finds 2 right off the bat. Exodus is going to be forced all the way back. There's no chance of them winning this fight, down 4. And a really nice fight win there from Tailwind. Very clean, only using 2 ults.
Yeah, Tailwind are always really decisive with their engages, and they were so decisive that they didn't give Placebo a chance to build up the rest of his sound barrier. But Poochie, he's now nearing towards the EMP. We get into this kind of ultimate cycle when it comes to this meta, kind of like how we had with Goats, where one team, like, they use a lot of ultimates, and the next team uses the next a lot of ultimates after that. And now we're at the point where Exodus are in the advantage of the ultimate cycle. They almost have their EMP Blossom back online, as well as their other 4 ultimates, so this is looking really good for them.
Coalescence comes out from Chad early. The bomb from Climate does not catch anything as Placebo does beat to keep his team alive. He knows J-Vice doesn't have that EMP, so he doesn't need to save it. The bomb comes out, though, barely misses all the members of Tailwind, and Cthulhu falls to Panda Games. Exodus still with the advantage in this fight. After the ult's committed, Poochie has the option of going for the EMP, but he's going to opt not to do it, as Exodus does manage to get these final picks here, moving the cart to cap second point.
That was a really smart bomb from Climate, helped negate both the Coalescence and the sound barrier from Exodus. But Exodus were just too decisive with their engage, despite their ultimates being negated a bit there. And they still have the Sombra and the Reaper ultimate online. So that's very, very good for Exodus here. Kaditrix, he does have that beat, though. May be able to counteract that combo if he hides effectively.
Yeah, Kaditrix just has to play so far back, and Poochie has to do his best effort to either force the beat out, or try to hack Kaditrix before the EMP, or just try to EMP Kaditrix. But it's going to be really hard for him to get that off effectively. So Exodus' only chance is just to try to outdamage that beat here as they look to jump in. Almost building up this Coalescence. Cube falls extremely low. He is forced back. J-Vice though with the EMP catches 5. He falls so early and Poochie with the counter EMP. Kadirstrix does hide, does not get hacked, and the beat comes out to keep Tailwind up, but it's still anyone's fight. Both Reaper will come out from both sides. Poochie finds Cube. No picks from either Reaper and Exodus now with 2 picks. They are pushing up super aggressively to try to pick off the remaining members of Tailwind, but if Tailwind can regroup fast, they definitely can win this fight. So is Cactus going to get hacked and forced back?
Yeah, that's a crucial hack on the Cactus there, but since Cryptic died first, he came back faster than Cube did, and now he's back in the fight. His team, they now have control of the point, as well as the spawn of Tailwind here. So this is looking really good for Exodus.
Yeah, really nice contest though. Their Exodus not going to be able to push the card up as the members of Tailwind are stalling. The Coalescent comes out from Demonic Rain. Cactus with the bomb, trying to kill the remaining touchers. Doesn't catch anything, and Exodus continuing to push forward. The bomb from Climate is actually catches too. Both supports of Exodus do not manage to get behind cover fast enough. Cube goes down. It's still anyone's fight, but with no supports, Exodus should not have any business winning this fight. Climate finds Cryptic, and Exodus is going to have to force back for last fight to regroup.
Very, very clutch bomb there from Climate. The EMP coming out from Poochie, though, as well as the beat from Placebo. Exodus are looking to turn this around with a big Death Blossom as well, but the EMP fired back from J-Vice. I'm not sure if it's enough to turn this here, but it just might be, as Tailwind are continuing to stabilize. They have the spawn advantage, still making it difficult for Exodus to come in here, and Exodus, they have no ultimates left in the bank to turn this around, besides almost being at their Coalescence.
Yeah, Exodus did not regroup fully enough. They had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 people going into that fight, and they used so many ults on point, but they just didn't have enough people to react to the Tailwind ultimates and to follow up on their own. So Exodus is going to go into that last fight not being able to win. The last remaining members trying to touch. Chad pops Coalescence. He is going to be taken down by Cthulhu, though. Panda Game's the last one on point. Does fall. Cactus hacked, not able to touch, and Exodus going to be held just before the 3rd point on here on Blizzard World.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm Exodus there, I don't even mind not fully capping Blizzard World. It's a very hard map to cap, much less even get into 3rd point. We get to see a lot of Blizzard Worlds where it just ends at the end of point behold, or maybe an early point behold. We get to see that, and sometimes even a full hold. But I'd say the most rare scoreline is where we get to see the 3rd point of Blizzard World. Not entirely common, especially between 2 really good teams, which is what we're seeing here. So really good turnaround from Exodus. You know, they are playing the Reaper Sombra, they're playing the Mirror, and they brought the card all the way to 3rd. That's a great showing from them. Their ultimate economy, I think it looked a little bit better than we've seen the past 2 maps. So some good signs going forward here into their defense, where they might change it up. Yeah, they're going to play the same thing, but they are going to be on the Reinhardt here. I think in my opinion, this isn't a very good pick. I think on first point, if Tailwind take high ground effectively, it's going to be difficult for Cryptic to find any value on the Reinhardt, while Cubed can just poke him out from that high ground. And on second point and third point, maybe third point you can argue for the Rein, but second point is a very high ground centric point where you really, really, really want to Winston. So I'm not entirely sure about this Reinhardt pick, but it is Exodus playing to their strengths, and they're going for the spawn hold as well. This is a very, very far forward spot to engage from, but oof, this is going to be, they're gambling a lot on this first point, which I don't entirely like from them there. They had a really good attack, but we'll see if it works out for them.
Exodus holding so close. I mean, it's going to catch Tailwind off guard, but I think Tailwind are going to be able to react fast enough. J-Vice doesn't catch them though. He goes out to scout and doesn't see where the team is, and Exodus is going to push up so aggressively into the tanks of Tailwind, going to force them back into the room. They all fall so low, and Exodus just can keep aggressing here, as Tailwind does not have the Reinhardt, cannot brawl as hard as Exodus can. Panda Games finds 2, and Tailwind's going to be dead already. That's a fight win for Exodus right off the bat with a really risky but close hold, but it does pay off for the first fight.
Such a massive gamble, but played so well there by Exodus. They're getting the stagger onto Climate here at the end as well. Nice little pin there from Cryptic. Really, really, really clean first fight there from Exodus, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to maintain this momentum. They might win this next fight off the ultimates that they built up almost at the EMP Blossom, but after that, you know, the gimmick is kind of over. They know, Tailwind know that Exodus are looking for the close hold here, and I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last, Chimancy.
Poochie almost with this EMP though. Poochie can build this EMP and basically just EMP right when Tailwind pushes in. That's going to be absolutely massive. Chad with the Coalescence though has 20% more ult charge than Demonic Rain. Climate gets demeched immediately, and now Exodus are free to do whatever they want. 2 picks for them onto both tanks of Tailwind. Gonna allow them to win this second fight here. and they built so many ults off of these two first fights. Exodus is looking really, really good here.
Yeah, I was worried about them having to use their EMP to win that fight, but Exodus, they won with only Coalescence. Now their first hold strat that I called a Gambit, you know, something that they really didn't need to take, is looking really good for them so far. They can cycle, if they cycle ultimates effectively, an EMP Shatter here, and then like maybe a Bomb Blossom after, Exodus might full hold Tailwind here.
A huge EMP for Pucci catches 5, and the Death Blossom from Mana Game is gonna catch 2 of his own. Another extremely fast and a really nice team fight there. Team wipe there from Exodus with only 2 ults. A really nice fight there.
Yeah, like you said, a nice fight, but at the same time, the benefits of Exodus's comp are wearing out a bit. J-Vice, he has the EMP, Placebo does not have that beat online just quite yet. Doing a good job of zoning J-Vice here, saying, no, you're not getting through, you're not going to set up your EMP. Really smart positioning by Placebo, knowing that he would see the Sombra if he's cloaked. But now we can see the fight already starting here. Another aggressive fight for Exodus.
A nice bomb from Cactus to engage. The bomb shatter being the plan there. 2 picks for Exodus. Absolutely huge, but I didn't even notice J-Vice used the EMP. I'm not sure who EMP'd or maybe it got cancelled. Demonic Rain with the Coalescence as well. And Tailwind loses the fight. Demonic Rain trying to, get a tick on point. He is going to get killed fairly shortly here, but what a huge fight from Exodus. No Coalescence on the board, no EMP, and Tailwind is running out of things to do here.
Yeah, Tailwind, they've looked clutch before, and they're really going to have to show that again now with not much in their bank. A few important ultimates, but arguably, they don't have the best ultimate. They don't have EMP. That's just fact. It's the best ultimate in this comp. They don't have it, so it's gonna be a bit difficult for them here. But a nice place bomb from Climate is gonna force the beat and kill Placebo.
Placebo falls, but the fight's still not over for either team. The reroll comes out. Cryptic's gonna fall. Panda Games with this reroll is looking to turn the fight. Chad, a nice kill. No main healer for Tailwind available. The beat does come out to keep the team up. Panda Games falls, not able to use his reroll. A really, really scary looking attack there for Tailwind. But they are able to recuperate there to cap first point, albeit using all their ults.
Yeah, Tailwind had to spam a lot of ultimates there, but a lot of them used very effectively. Climate's bomb for both forced beat and killed Placebo, and Khadidrix's beat was so well timed there that it helps his team secure point A. So really, really, really good play from Tailwind. But at the same time, Exodus looks so strong on that first point. I think that Ryan's going to struggle a bit more here on second, but Exodus do have the Reaper Sombra ultimate combination for this next fight.
Exodus looking aggressively to hold. They are able to reboot fast. A nice 4-man EMP though. Khadidrix does not have the beat available even though he didn't get hacked. 2 members of Tailwind fall early, and Exodus is going to take this fight fairly easily just with EMP. And that's really, really good for Exodus here. They've got 3 ults on the board, almost 4, and they're looking really good here on the second point defense.
Yeah, I'm loving the confidence that Exodus have here. Despite being down 0-2 in this series, they're looking like they've won the past 2 maps so far with how much confidence they're playing with. Ulting in Tailwind spawn here. A Shatter and a Blossom, and the Shatter's massive.
A nice shatter from Cryptic and a bomb to follow up. 4 picks so fast. 5 picks really fast. Almost the team wipe. Demonic Rain does manage to fade out of the fight. But, I mean, Exodus used a lot of ults. Chad still with the Coalescence, but Tailwind doesn't even look like they have that many. Just EMP here, almost with the bomb, and Exodus still looking good even though they used so many ults last fight.
These fights are going so fast that it's very difficult for Placebo to find a beat ultimate charge here. And J-Vice has the EMP, and there is no effective counter on the side of Exodus, so an EMP alone might win this fight here for Tailwind.
J-Vice hacked out of the EMP is absolutely huge. Amazing, almost probably game-saving play from Pucci there, as the Coalescence from Chad is able to keep Exodus up. Only the bomb here from Tailwind and the reroll. Now the EMP for Pucci catches 5, and Climate is demeched, and Exodus just pushed so aggressively. Cube falls, a minute left for Tailwind. They are not looking good here. J-Vice, though, 60% to his EMP after having his EMP canceled. Amazing fight there from Exodus, and what a great play from Pucci, saving the fight and maybe even the map here.
That's crazy. That's my analysis for that fight. That's crazy from Pucci. That's just crazy. But J-Vice, he has the EMP again. Another shatter in the spawn here for Cryptic.
A huge shatter is gonna force the beat out and the Coalescence and beat, or sorry, the beat from Placebo in response. But Demonic Range falls, and now Exodus still with the advantage here in the fight. Although now down 2 players, now the fight is even. Chad pops the Coalescence to try to turn the fight. Cube does have the Primal Rage available. J-Vice with the EMP does catch multiple members of Exodus. The Primal Rage goes out as well. But now look at this. Tailwind has absolutely nothing in the ult bank. Nothing. The highest ult charge they have is 40, and Exodus is looking really good here, heading this to overtime fight.
This is looking incredible for Exodus. They almost have the EMP online, and Khadidrix invested his beat there. So an EMP, they have so many ultimates too. They have the bomb as well as the EMP. It's going to be such a good combo here for Exodus. If they can just get the rest of their EMP charge and pull it off, they can easily halt this overtime push that Tailwind are attempting.
Yeah, Tailwind's got no ult and not even close to an ult. Pucci here going for the EMP. Not going to do it quite yet, just waiting for the rest of his team to push up. The bomb comes out, a huge 5-man EMP. 2 picks for Exodus here in the overtime fight. Climate falls extremely low. Cryptic finds 2 picks of his own. Cube falls as well. It's just going to be Climate and Demonic Rain left on point. They're not going to be able to touch. They're going to get picked off. And Exodus taking Blizzard World 2-1 in an incredible defense there. A really nice map there from Exodus, looking like a completely different team. And I'm just speechless after that defense. That was a really nicely executed hold there from Exodus.
Yes, that was incredible from Exodus. We saw some absolutely heroic plays. Pucci hacking J-Vice out of his EMP when it mattered most, and getting the EMP in the last fight as well. Just really good plays from every single member of Exodus there. But as much as I want to say that was Exodus playing really well, I noticed a few mistakes from Tailwind that I didn't really see in the first 2 maps, Chim. They didn't look like they were playing as cleanly. Not to discredit Exodus, I'd like to clarify. Exodus played that absolutely insane. They're looking much better than they did the first 2 maps. But at the same time, I also think Tailwind are looking a bit worse in that map. Maybe it didn't play to their comfort zones, but I definitely saw some mistakes that I didn't expect to see from this Tailwind roster. And I'm hoping that they can clean it up for this next map. But I'm also hoping to see more of this Exodus aggression, because I love aggressive comps. We mentioned earlier at the very beginning how we love to see Ryan. I love to see Ryan. We didn't get to see Zuby, Cubed, opt into the Ryan mirror there. But Ryan is a very entertaining hero to watch. The shatters in the spawn were absolutely amazing from Cryptic. But wow, Exodus looks so rejuvenated that map. I really didn't expect them to look that good on Blizzard World, especially playing Reinhardt. But when it comes to this next map, Tailwind, unfortunately, this might be where the fun ends for Exodus, as if Tailwind just picked Gibraltar, it's going to be very hard for Exodus to execute the very aggressive Rhine holds that they did on their Blizzard World defense. I'm not entirely sure what Tailwind are going to pick, but if I'm Tailwind, I definitely pick Blizzard World. I say the fun ends here. I go back to the Reaper Sombra, where I'm confident I can win the mirror, but I guess we'll get to see what they have to pick.
And yeah, Cryptic Force is such a solid Reinhardt. He's well known in the community as probably one of the best Reinhardts. He plays a very aggressive style, but the composition that Exodus is playing with the Lucio, the Diva, and the Moira basically all exist to help Cryptic. And Cryptic can just go in there and absolutely dominate the enemy main tank, which is a Winston, which can't do nearly as much damage as a Reinhardt can at close range. So they're abusing the fact that they can hold in that little room and deny Winston all his ability to get that high ground, and just taking the fight at such close ranges where they have a huge advantage. So it was really nicely played by Exodus. And after our first doubts of that close hold, we were definitely proven wrong. And going into Junkertown, I'm really hoping to be proven wrong again. I want to see Exodus continue to go, hold this and bring the series to map 5. I definitely think they're capable of that.
Definitely. I thought that Tailwind would just pick Gibraltar and secure the win. Exodus, they can't play Rhine, where they've looked the best so far this series. In that last map, they can't play Rhine on Gibraltar, but they decided to go to Junkertown, a map that is notorious for Bastion, but as well, first point spawn holds, Chimanzi.
It's true.
We get to see a lot of first point spawn holds on Junkertown. They don't always last forever. They normally don't last forever, but I am very confused. I trust Tailwind, but at the same time, from a spectator perspective, I'm a bit confused why they would pick a map which is one of the few that you are able to spawn hold on in the game against a team where they just got spawn held really effectively. It's a bit confusing to me, but I guess we'll get to see what these teams decide to come out with, because we could see very different looks for Junkertown. Long range hit scan, very common, and it's what Tailwind are currently showing. Very similar composition to what they played on Volskaya, except J-Vice now on the Widowmaker instead of the Ashe. And the comp worked out very well for Tailwind on Volskaya, almost full holding Exodus on point A. So I definitely think this comp looks great for Tailwind. But if we get to see Sim Bastion, one of my favorite comps in this game from Exodus, I would be very happy. Even if they lose, which I think Sim Bastion could find a lot of value here personally, Chim. I know you probably don't think that. But I think I love to see Sim Bastion. Oh, he's off Sim. Darn it. That's okay.
I think this Bastion comp can be really good, but Poochie's actually gonna switch to the Widowmaker. The double sniper look here, and a nice pick on a J-Vice so early. The resurrection cancel too. That's huge. That's huge for Exodus here going into this first fight. Their Tailwind is down 1, and they're down their res, and now Exodus can pretty much do whatever they want and take all the space here.
Yeah, I've never seen a first fight won so fast before on Junkertown, but a smart decision to reset here by Tailwind. But it's going to be so difficult for Cubed and Climate to find a good engage onto the double shield here. They have to be really, really decisive.
Yeah, Panda Game's 30% to the Hanzo ult, pretty much the closest out of anyone so far. No ult's going to be used anytime soon, though. Climate falls to half HP, not going to be able to engage that hard. Again, this Zen, Yada, and Mercy heal lineup, so much damage potential, but so little heal potential. A nice headshot onto Climate is going to take him down as he's in Baby Diva form. And now Tailwind is down 1 again in the fight. So early, and a nice pick from Panda Games, and a nice pick from Placebo. I mean, Exodus is just playing this so well. They're getting so many individual picks, and it's working out so well for them.
Double shield. Double shield. Double shield. I love double shield, Jim. I love double shield. No, it's a very, very cheesy tank line. Sure, you can say that. It's used 2 of the tanks that have historically been very overpowered in this game, but this double shield execute so far from Exodus has been great. They are really punishing the fact that... Wait, why is Kadidrix on Lucio?
Kadidrix does switch to Lucio, I'm assuming.
Okay,
yeah, there we go. Okay. Demonic Brain, yeah, the Zenyatta Lucio lineup, not the most popular for the support lineups anymore. Not, you know, old Overwatch dive, but they do opt to switch to the full meta comp. And although this might be better versus what Exodus is playing, they've got no ults at all. The closest they are is 50% to the Monkey ult, which is really not that effective as ult. And Exodus is so close to everything else. Poochie does get destroyed by Tailwind's aggressive dive. Chad goes down as well. 2 final blows for Climate that fight, and Exodus just gonna have to fold this fight to Tailwind. But so many ults on the board for Exodus. They've got a massive advantage in that category.
That was a very smart execute from Tailwind. I like that they swapped to the Winston Diva comp. I was questioning the Lucio pick because I didn't see the Reaper and Samba swaps. That's my bad. But now we get to see the Primal Rage is already online for Cubed, but so many ultimates still from Exodus winning the first point online. They have almost 6 ultimates. It's going to be very difficult for them to lose this next fight.
Yeah, the hack goes on in a Cryptic. Not going to do much though. Panda Games with the Dragon does pick off Climate as he is the mech. Cube falls as well. No tanks left for Tailwind. And Exodus should be able to clean this up fairly easily. J-Vice goes down, which is their main source of damage. And yeah, Exodus is going to win this fight only using the Dragon and the Transcendence. That's a really good fight. They've still got 4 ults. If they can cycle these ults correctly, with Tailwind still having none, about to have that Reaper ult, then Exodus is looking really good here moving on.
Yeah, Flux definitely forces a lot of cooldowns of Tailwind's composition. A nice early sights, so they know that they can set up the pull Flux wherever Tailwind decides to come out here. The Bongo committed as well from Cryptic really early. Really smart ultimate usage here from Exodus.
A nice Flux there from Cactus. Gonna take 2 members so low, and the Blossom is negated so well by Chad's Immortality Field. Such a nice fight there from Exodus. They use so many ults, but I mean, they negated the Reaper ult and they capped second point. They have 4 minutes and 30 seconds on third point here in Junkertown, and they're still looking good.
Yeah, they used a lot of ults, but I don't even hate that there. Each ultimate was used effectively to counter a different aspect of what Tailwind wanted to do, and it was just a really, really smart play. Now Poochie taking out Polar, that's a really good kill if you're an Exodus fan. As well as Climate getting burned down here by Panda Games on the Tracer. Climate finding the Discord orb on himself, and he gets debacked by a nice shot from Poochie. Really good in-between fights here from Exodus, really utilizing their DPS well. But now Polar, he has the EMP. There's an Immortality Field that could come out from Chad, but there's no Transcendence online for Placebo, so an EMP could be a good halt to Exodus's momentum here that they have on third point.
And yeah, Tailwind gonna have to regroup all the way in their spawn pretty much. Climate, oh, that's my mistake. I thought he got demech, but Climate does get the mech back. Polar with the huge EMP catches 5. The Coalescence and Bomb come out. Exodus only down 1, although they do lose Chad as well. It's looking like a lost fight for Exodus, but honestly, in the grand scheme of things, did Exodus really lose that fight? I mean, look at how many ults Tailwind used, and the important ones at that.
Yeah, they definitely didn't lose that fight in the long term if you're Exodus. They didn't have any ultimates to win that fight, and 3 ultimates were used for Tailwind. So ultimate economy long term, definitely looking good for Exodus here. But I think their composition is going to struggle to find more and more value. It's hard for them to get the high ground into this composition, and if they don't get it, then their composition is just flat out worse than the Reaper Sombra. And a really good engage here from Tailwind.
Yeah, going so aggressively when Exodus doesn't have the chance to build their ults. I mean, even with this fast fight win, Poochie does pop the sights, but as I was saying, even with this fast fight win, Tailwind doesn't have the chance to build too many important ults. They've got the beat, which, I mean, obviously is an important ult, but it's not an offensive ult. Or a damage ult, sorry. They've got the Primal Rage, which, I mean, is good for Cubed if he wants to stay in an extended fight, but... and actually, I eat my own words, as Exodus makes a full comp switch, and they do lose the ult advantage.
Yeah, very questionable time to comp switch, as we can see an aggressive beat engage, and a nice hack here from Polar onto Poochie.
Yeah, really aggressive dive there. Poochie is the only one to fall, though. Placebo falls super low as well, is taken out. Exodus forced all the way back. A nice fight from Tailwind, and now they've got a really good ult advantage. If they can cycle their ults, then this 2-minute hold should not be a problem for them.
Yeah, that composition switch, Chim, that last fight, that was possibly the worst time that they could go for a composition switch. Just when they had a chance to come back in the ult economy, Exodus decided to abandon their double shield and go on to the Reaper Sombra. I think long term, it might be good, but a massive EMP from Polar, J-Vice with the Death Blossom. It's just looking so good here for Tailwind as they're stabilizing on point 3.
Yeah, a 6-man EMP from Polar, and a really nice Death Blossom from J-Vice to follow up is going to go ahead and win Tailwind that fight. Still with 3 ults on the board and halfway to that beat.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates online for Tailwind as Exodus are just looking to build up their ult initially from their composition switch. Poochie almost at that EMP, both Sombras taking a little peek at each other. Polar's Translocator destroyed, a little bit of a duel. Oh, I believe Poochie's Translocator was destroyed there. Really good play there from Polar as well as Tailwind. Nice follow-up by Climates. But the ultimate economy, yeah, it's looking a bit balanced here, honestly, between these teams. As we get to see an early engage here from Exodus, trying to fight for a little bit of space despite not having their Sombra.
Well, Poochie is just back in the fight here. Coalescence popped from both teams. Demonic Reigns falls solo. A really nice hack takes him out of the Coalescence, and he is found. Poochie with the EMP, though, could turn this fight, and he does EMP. 4 members of Tailwind EMP'd. Polar falls, J-Vice as well. Both TPS down for Tailwind. Chad is taken out by Cube's Primal Rage, but it's not going to be enough to turn this fight. Although Placebo does fall, and maybe Tailwind can win this fight. Even with the massive advantage from Exodus, Cube falls, and yeah, it's not looking too good for Tailwind anymore. Even though Cryptic does fall. As long as Exodus just plays for the lives here and does not die, waits for their entire 6 to get back, then they're looking really good here. Even though Tailwind has got so many ults.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good time for Exodus to win the fight. Obviously, because they probably would have lost if they didn't win that fight. But Polar gets forced out here as he's trying to set up for his EMP. Good catch there by Poochie. Panda Game's hack, though, and having one of the few ultimates online, and a big EMP from Polar.
A 6-man EMP is going to force so many members of Exodus off point. The Reaper roll comes out, but it's DM by Climate. 1 pick for Exodus, 2 picks for Exodus, and the Placebo's beat is so massive, allows Exodus to play so aggressively. Climate almost falls in that Baby Diva form. Both teams just brawling it out on player. Climate falls, no Diva is huge, and the EMP takes down both supports from Tailwind. The bomb comes out to try to clean up the rest of the fight from Cactus. It's big, and the Reaper roll on point, though, from J-Vice could save the fight. It is DM'd, and a nice counter there from Exodus onto the Reaper roll. Cube falls, and with 3 members on point, Exodus should be able to cap Junkertown all 3, and that is exactly what they do.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that they stabilized Chim after that full comp swap at, as I mentioned earlier, probably the worst time they could go for a comp swap from Double Shield to Reaper Sombra. In terms of their economy, I really didn't like that swap, but it worked out for them. You know, they turned it around. They won some fights. Another thing that I mentioned earlier, Exodus were not winning the fights often that they should be losing. Like, you need to win the fights that you should be losing sometimes in order to win against Tailwind. And now they're doing that. That pass map, they did a lot. With a big hack on the J-Vice from Poochie on Blizzard World, that was massive. And we got to see a lot of big plays from Exodus here as well, despite there being 0 time left in the bank. Capping 3rd on Junkertown is an impressive feat. But I'm going to be interested to see what they play here. They're not opting for the spawn hold on Junkertown. Exodus are not. They're going again on the double sniper that they played on 1st and 2nd and half of 3rd point. And it worked out pretty well for them, honestly. They played the double sniper really effectively. But I think it might be a bit of a different story on defense, where Tailwind, they kind of struggled to come back into it on 1st point after losing one of their snipers early on. It was difficult for Tailwind, but now we get to see the double sniper on defense. I'm not sure if it's going to be as dominant as it was on the attack for Exodus, especially with Tailwind on a comp like this. The double sniper with a dive, I definitely think it can counter the double shield of Exodus effectively if played well from Tailwind.
I think Exodus look really, really good here on this first point. The tanks of Exodus have so much more healing than Cubed and Climate because they have the Mercy Zen, and I mean, as I say that, Poochie does get picked early. There is no Resurrection available, but as I was saying, Cryptic and Cactus have the BAF and the Zen heals. If Cubed and Climate decide to take an aggressive dive, they're pretty much just gonna die to just how much sustain Cryptic and Cactus have. And at that point, it's really down to this double sniper duo on both teams to pretty much win this point. It's gonna kind of just come down to that.
Yeah, definitely, but see the composition of Tailwind, it just commands so much space. You have the Zenyatta, you have the double sniper, you have so many threats on the side of Tailwind, including J-Vice, who gets a nice kill onto Chad and gets away with it there. Really good assassination from him.
If Poochie picks off Polar though, that's a huge pick. If they can deny the res, they can look really good here, but J-Vice with his second and third picks of the fight. Poochie takes him down, and X is still looking to be able to win this. Cube just rezzed, and it's not looking too good for Exodus anymore, as the main tank is back. Poochie should fall here. He does, and, you know, I mean, even with the Zenyatta pick, I'm not sure that Exodus can regroup fast enough to touch this point and get a full fight.
Yeah, a little bit back and forth, and I very much doubt that we're going to see Exodus Dutch here, but they actually look to with the pull Dragon. Not going to find much for them there.
A big Dragon, though, is going to zone all of Tailwind off the cart. Panic Games falls, Chad as well, and now it's just Cryptic left on point just to try to stall it out. Cactus as well, actually, but they are both going to fall, and yeah, Tailwind's going to cap the first point, only using the Valkyrie.
That was a very greedy re-engage from Exodus there, and they're going to swap off despite being close to a lot of their ultimates. I'm not sure about this composition switch to Manzi. It's going to be so difficult for them to hold the second point, having no ultimates now, and the ultimates, since Exodus decided to recontest, the ultimates are looking really good for Tailwind. They gave a lot of Ultra Rush to Tailwind, only forcing out the Valkyrie from Kaditrix. You know, these sites aren't going to find much value for J-Vice, but there's still so many ultimates online for Tailwind that if used effectively, will definitely take them to third point.
I think if, I mean, I really like the comp Exodus swap too, but like you mentioned, they just give up all the ults. I think if Exodus played this smart, they have such a good chance of winning this, but, I mean, the ult advantage is not in their favor at all. J-Vice is going to fall, though, and that's a lot of pick potential gone for Tailwind. This fight is looking good for Exodus. J-Vice is res, though, and now Tailwind is turning the tables. Cryptic falls, and Cactus should fall shortly as well, as they do not have their Mora available. Chad got picked early. A nice pick on a Panic Game is going to force Exodus all the way to reset. And I don't think they can contest here, as Tailwind has so many ults and only Cactus can touch.
Tailwind winning with only Transcendence, and there are no ultimates even close for Exodus here, going into third point. Such a good attack so far from Tailwind, partially off the back of a bit of a weird swap from Exodus, but still really good play from Tailwind. They're using their ult effectively, and they're holding on to so many of them as well. You know, despite Exodus making possibly a mistake there, a nice DMAC from Fuller. Wow, a really aggressive hold attempt here from Exodus. Probably what they needed to turn it around, but it's not working out well for them at all.
Yeah, both tanks falling early. Cubed is going to pop the Primal, though. I mean, that's two fights. I think that's 3 fights in a row they've won with one ultimate. The first point it was Valkyrie, second point it was Transcendence, and third point is the Primal Rage. They've got the Bob available. They've almost got another Transcendence. They've got the Valkyrie again. They've almost got Sights again too. So I mean, Tailwind's looking good, but now with EMP is pretty much almost a guaranteed fight when if Demonic Rain cannot build this Transcendence, and if Exodus knows that they don't have this Transcendence, then it could be a free fight win for Exodus.
Oh yeah, for sure. As the Bob comes out, the fight is beginning to start, and Poochie looks for the EMP, and he does hit Demonic Rain.
It's a huge EMP, and Demonic Rain is found as he's taken down so low. Poochie with 2 final blows, cubed his hack, but the Valkyrie comes out. An interesting Valkyrie, Climate's team mech as well. It's almost like Tailwind is down 3 people. Cubed falls, and Kaditrix is going to get taken down by Cactus. A really, really nice fight there from Exodus. 1 ultimate used, and now the tables have completely swapped ult-wise.
Yeah, they definitely have, as only a Diva Bomb remains on the side of Tailwind. But what else remains is 3.5 minutes for them, and they only really need to win one fight and then like a very stall fight for here, as Climate eats a Pulse Bomb of Panda Games.
A nice Pulsey, but Cryptic takes down J-Vice, and now no Reaper for Tailwind. They have got 0 frontline damage almost to take down Cryptic, and Now Tailwind, sorry, Exodus just puts in aggressively. Placebo's beat and Chad's Coalescence, all they need to win that fight, and they do back out.
So you say it was only the EMP and the only the beat and the Coalescence needed to win that fight. But that's the beat and the Coalescence needed to win that fight. Long term, this is very good for Tailwind. There is no more beat if Polar can get an EMP this fight. So that was maybe a crucial mistake there for Exodus if Polar decides to punish it. And a nice hack on the Cactus and a really good engage, trying to catch out the Winston here.
If Exodus can stay alive, Poochie almost has the EMP. He's 99%. The bomb comes out from Climate. He does translocate it away very smartly. Endgame's almost dies. Placebo is found. And the EMP goes out, finds 4. Demonic Ring not going to be able to pop the EMP. Or the Coalescence, sorry, as he is taken down, and 2 pulses in a row. Climate is eaten here. Amazing performance here on 3rd point by Climate, eating 2 of Panagame's pulse bombs. J-Vice is found, and Exodus gonna have to regroup really fast. Cactus has left the mech though, which is gonna be really bad for Exodus.
Yeah, Tailwind clutching out that fight really effectively, and still having EMP online. There is no beat for Placebo. A well-placed EMP combined with a Coalescence, maybe an aggressive beat, because they can do that too, because there's no EMP or beat on the side of Exodus. Tailwind are looking so good to win this fight. We're gonna need to see a clutch play from Exodus if they want a chance of staying in the series.
Oh, and Poochie tried to go for another hack. The EMP cancel. The beat comes out, the Reaper roll, and the EMP from Tailwind, and the Coalescence. It's just way too much for Exodus to handle. 4 out of 6 ult use, and Tailwind's gonna be able to move forward as Poochie attempts to stall the point a little bit. And Tailwind's going to cap all 3 with 2 minutes 42 remaining, as Exodus is going to move up to 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, I fumbled my words there. I forgot that Exodus full capped, my bad. But the map is still going on, but that attack of Tailwind was so much cleaner than what Exodus had. Exodus definitely had some clean moments, but it feels like Tailwind's attack was clean pretty much the whole way through. You know, they only lost fights where they had ultimate disadvantages because they had to make a comp swap for 3rd. That's fine. If you're Tailwind, you definitely take those. But at the same time, Exodus have looked so much better after the half that this map is not over at all for them here, despite what I said earlier in a fumble of words.
Yeah, this map definitely not over. The series is 2-1. I really believe that Exodus can tie the series up and take it to map 5 to maybe complete the reverse sweep. I think that this double shield composition they played on their first attack worked really well. Poochie popped off on the Widow, and, you know, Chad did a really good job of building that Baptiste ult, as well as Placebo building the Transcendence. I think if they play this comp like they did in their first attack, they will 100% be able to go pretty far. And honestly, on these 2nd round attacks, we see the trend that teams, if they cap, you know, 1 or 2 points, that the momentum carries them all the way to the end. So I think Exodus, there's really low room for error, but I think they have a really good chance.
Yes! Sebastian, Chim! Sebastian! They're doing it. I love it.
Yeah, the Sebastian comes out a little bit questionable, but they are going to take this top right high ground. Tailwind taking the aggressive dives. Cryptic is found early. Polar is low, but it's able to stay safe. The hack comes out on the Cactus, and yeah, Exodus is not looking too good right here. Tailwind is just going to hold in the room under them. I believe Exodus is waiting for Cryptic to get back on the Orisa, and then they're going to try to set up on the point. But a smart TP is going to take them all the way behind. The DM runs out, and now Cube is going to get melted if he doesn't play safe. The bubble is forced back into the room, and Tailwind looks so lost here from this very questionable comp from Exodus. Panagame's almost with the sim wall, is taken down, but Polar's taken down as well. That Sombra pick is so important. Cube falls extremely low, Chad finishes him off, and Tailwind is not looking good. Both UPS dead. Kaditrix falls to 1 health, Climate low as well, and now Exodus is able to cap this point. Demonic Brain pops to Coalescence. That's not good for Tailwind at all. They have lost the fight, and they don't have this Coalescence for this recontest.
Exodus with the absolute 6-head play there. Absolute 6-head. I don't know if they were anticipating the attempt from Tailwind to try to counter the double sniper by going the more Lucio, but they countered it so effectively with Sebastian, so effectively with Sebastian, and now Exodus have so many ultimates online and they're close to the rest. So this is looking like a really good snowball opportunity for Exodus as Poochie decides to pop his tank ultimates.
Polar taken down, that's huge. Panda Games now has the free will to pop the Symmetrical because he has no fear of the EMP. And without the Sombra, there's just not that much that Tailwind can do. The symbol comes out to negate the bomb. It's absolutely huge. Q falls as well. J-Vice falls. And that's I believe, yeah, only 1 ult committed from Tailwind. They do make the switch onto the Ana though. An anti could be a fight-winning tool. And yeah, Exodus caps first point using 3 ults, but Pucci almost to another Bastion ult.
Point B is going to be where Exodus's comp is going to struggle. One anti-nade ends Exodus's overtime push here. One good anti-nade from Demonic Rain, it's all over. But they're already looking to take this high ground with a Sim TP Bastion. These are such creative TPs from Pucci that Tailwind just have no space to work with. They need to set up a dive on the nade, and here comes the EMP.
A really smart EMP does catch both people on point. Placebo barely able to touch. A really nice touch, and the res goes on the Cactus. But no one from Exodus is able to go back. Pucci picks up 2, but Cactus, no, barely gets off the point as Pucci gets 3 picks. It's so tragic for Exodus. They were looking so good with that Flux and the 3K from Pucci, but honestly, I mean, as much as I dislike the Sim Bastion comp, it worked really well for Exodus. They were able to cap first point with only a minute, and all they need to do is win, 4 or 5 fights to bring Tailwind to overtime. And with Tailwind in overtime, all they have to do is use all their ults.
Yeah, but it's gonna be very difficult for Exodus here. They're gonna have to win fights that they have won more after the half, the fights that they should not be winning. They need to win a few of those if they want to hold Tailwind here and take this to map 5, because the cart is only 15 meters into point B. It's going to be very difficult. If Tailwind caps the cart in overtime, it's going to be difficult for Exodus to try to find an engage like Tailwind were able to. Tailwind were partially able to do that just because Exodus got off the point with the Sim TP Bastion, and it didn't zone effectively enough for Exodus to continue their push. So now Exodus, they're not playing the double shield this time. I believe they opted for the double shield on defense last time. I could be wrong. I think my memory's actually evading me a bit here.
They did.
But now we're on the Sombra Reaper mirror for both teams. I assume Polar's going to swap to Sombra after maybe a cheeky headshot. But this is going to be the battle that we need to see Exodus turn around. The Sombra Reaper mirror, it is here on Junkertown.
Yeah, Polar with the almost big brain play narrowly misses Pucci with that, McCree flashbang. Climate is hacked and brought low. Cube falls low as well. Cryptic goes down so early. That's so bad for Exodus here. They are going to be forced back without their main tank. Placebo falls as well, and they're going to have to die fast. They do not want to stagger themselves here if they want another touch.
Yep. They do get another touch on point A though, unless there's a good stagger here, but it's difficult. Cactus is the defensive baby diva. He can just stall out the point, so Tailwind had to kill him there. But there are a few ultimates that we're getting really close to, including Shad's Coalescence, which could be a great engagement tool for Exodus here if they do opt to recontest, which they definitely should. They have the Coalescence, they almost have the EMP, and they're relatively close to the Reaper ult as well. Not as close as J-Vice, who that could definitely be an effective tool. Tailwind, they have a lot of ultimates they're close to, but Exodus looking a bit better for the engage here.
Exodus taking the aggressive engagement. Chad popped the Coalescence early. Pucci gets hacked. If he can stay alive though, the EMP could be a fight-winning ultimate here. He is going to look for the EMP. The bomb comes out, the EMP as well. Picks traded both sides, but now Exodus up 1. Polar is falls as well as J-Vice. Now no DPS for Tailwind. Exodus is able to push aggressively. Cryptic has no fear as both DPS are gone for Tailwind, and a really nice fight win. 3 ult remaining for Exodus here with, I believe, 2, maybe 3 fights left for Tailwind.
Yeah, smart Coalescence there from Chad, and a good EMP from Pucci as well helped Exodus win that fight there. But now Polar has the EMP, and Placebo is only halfway to his beat. There is no possibility he's going to play get this beat in time. Exodus are going to have to play split, which is going to be very difficult considering that Tailwind are on a rush comp, and they can just rush solo people, and a really good EMP.
The EMP comes out, catches 3. The bomb from Cactus to try to counter doesn't catch anything, but still only 1 pick. It looks so winnable for Exodus here. If they can get their target focus right, they can definitely win this fight. Or a huge pick though. Pucci catches Polar. Pucci 60% of the EMP. J-Vice falls as well. The B comes out from Magician to try to keep his team up. Cube finds 2 picks, but almost the EMP Reaper ult. The Reaper ult comes out from Panic Games, doesn't find anything. Climate is demeched. Cube falls extremely low. There's nothing to negate the Reaper damage now that the Diva is fallen, but Exodus has to touch. Cryptic is taken down. Climate is taken down as well. No Diva bomb available. But there's EMP and Coalescence available for Exodus. And Tailwind only has the Diva bomb. It looks so winnable for Exodus as long as they can touch this point, which they should be able to as they are regrouping close. It looks so good for Exodus here. Pucci he gets hacked out of the EMP though, Polar with a huge play. Climate takes down Poochie. Chad the Coalescence is the Exodus's last remaining hope here on point. Perfect Force gets hacked. He goes to the ball to try to get back fast. Taken down. And it's looking so good. J-Vice picks off 4-5. I'm speechless there. The DPS duo of Tailwind carrying that last fight in a fight that they should have lost a million times over. Polar with the hack to negate the EMP, and J-Vice with the 5k on Reaper, with Tailwind going to cap and win Junkertown 5-4, taking the series 3-1. Now Exodus will fall to the 5th seed, and Tailwind takes the 1st. But what a series and what a final play there from Tailwind. That was incredible play.
What stellar play from Tailwind overall this whole series, except Blizzard World Attack. That was very, very good from Tailwind. Just, they looked better on the Reaper Sombra Mirror than Exodus. I think you can definitively say Tailwind looked better. They looked very, very good. Their ultimate rotations were better. They had very good clutch plays, especially in that last fight of the series there. Really, really, really good play from Tailwind. Looking like an insanely deadly team. Of course, they're the 1st seed going into playoffs for Indigo pool for Indigo in Discord tier. But at the same time, Exodus, they almost brought that back, Chim. That was a really, really good effort. Blizzard World, they turned it around with some great spawn holds, and they were one fight away from taking this to a map 5. Really, really good turnaround from Exodus. I think that's some good that's a good showing for going forward, going into playoffs for Exodus. They're showing that they can compete with Tailwind, arguably the best team, or at least one of the best teams in Discord tier. So really, really good showing from Exodus, but at the same time, Tailwind, unfortunately for Exodus, they're just too good.
Yeah, that was an insane series. Blizzard World was an incredible match from Exodus, and that last play there from Tailwind, from DPS duo of Tailwind, is just insane. Incredible showing. Tailwind really deserved that win with how they played. They didn't do so well on map 3, but they recuperated, and they basically looked like how we saw them in maps 1 and 2 after they started to decline a little on map 3. So that was a really, really great series from both teams. And thank you everyone for tuning in to the final regular season Discord tier Overwatch Tranquility match between Tailwind and Exodus, where we saw an incredible match with Tailwind grabbing their 3rd win of Stage 2, 3-1. With this win, Tailwind has now completed a perfect season with an 8-0 record in total across both stages. Tailwind will clinch the 1st seed of the Indigo playoffs and has won the Indigo RM Pool A group. Be sure to tune in to Overwatch Tranquility's final regular season match, which will be between the Holy Jalapenos and Void, on Monday, October 5th at 8:30 p.m. EST. Also be sure to catch the YouTube featured match between Paradise and Jersey Boys, which airs at 9 o'clock p.m. EST this Sunday. As well as the Beat Drop, which premieres tonight right after this broadcast, which is the Get Off My Land and Flying Lions Beat Drop. I'm Chimanzi, and I've been your play-by-play caster for tonight, joined by Needle on Analysis and Juke on Production. Once again, thank you everyone for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.